other people who want to change careers, to get certifications, to get licenses. Yeah. And did you get a certification in project management?
Yes. So before I became an entrepreneur, I kind of was trying to decide between real estate and insurance. Okay. And so I actually ended up going into insurance first. And I chose insurance because I wanted to learn about money and how to make money work for, myself and for people. And so a lot of times people think insurance is just, life insurance or sales and things like that. I got a license and I operated with that license for about 9 years to really understand money, right? Because I'm like, if I'm going to build this big company, I don't want to always have to depend on an accountant or, somebody to kind of educate me on the finances. I want to have some general knowledge myself. So I got the insurance license first. So that was my first certification. So I was licensed in life, health, long-term care, Medicare. Wow. I was licensed in all of that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Career Education Learning Center podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Rivers. I'm honored and privileged to have Nekia Mba on our show today. She is principal owner of Mba Development Group. How are you doing today, Miss Nekia?
I'm doing well, Mitchell. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on our show today. Nekia, tell us a little bit about yourself and your development group.
Well, I am from a small town called Troutman, North Carolina. I come from a very large family. I always had a desire to be in the construction space. My grandfather wanted me to be a nurse, but I wanted to build houses. I am a military wife, so my husband is currently in the U.S. Army Reserves, and I am the mother of a 3-year-old, so I am enjoying chasing around a toddler. Our company, Mba Development Group, is actually our second company. I was a project manager and a strategic planning consultant for about 10 years for women entrepreneurs. I had my own company, which I still own, called Elegant Woman. And then from there, I really felt that I was in a place where God was allowing me to pursue my passion and my dream. So I started Mba Development Group, which is a design, build, and project management firm, mostly focused in residential, but we are delving into the commercial side here and there.
That is great. And one thing y'all don't know, audience, is that I'm from Statesville, North Carolina, right next to Troutman, North Carolina. And so we went to compete in high school, not at the same time. I'm just a little bit older than Miss Nekia there, just a little bit older than she is. But it's just a small world when I saw her profile on LinkedIn and say, man, this is an incredible young lady, because there's not that many women in construction. And as you stated earlier, you really got into it when everybody else, they wanted you to be a nurse or probably going something more, I would say, ladylike, but you a teacher or administrative assistant or even in business, but you are in business, you're an entrepreneur. And so you're on your second business. So you always had this desire to go into building and construction, and that's incredible.
Yes. So my mom actually still has drawings for when I was in 3rd grade. When they used to say, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always say an architect. And my mom would say, well, who do you know that's an architect? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know where the idea came from initially. And I remember that. Like, I remember being a young girl, and I remember always saying, I'm going to be an architect when I grow up, not even knowing an actual architect. But I had that like that creativity side. I was always a person, that would draw. I'm an only child, so I tell people I had a lot of time to delve into my gifts and talents, because I didn't have siblings. And I would draw things. I could never draw people though. I would only draw like houses or streetscapes and things like that. And I won awards as in elementary school for my drawings. But if you ask me to draw a face or or a nose or something, it's a disaster. And I really just wanted to, growing up small town, you're from State, so I'm from Troutman. I grew up in a very large house. I grew up with a very large family, but a lot of my classmates didn't have that. They didn't have a home. They didn't really have stability in their living. Right. A lot of my close friends. And so someone was always living with us. And I think that was part of the reason that I wanted to design and build homes, because I really just wanted, my friends and people I knew to know what it felt like to have a home. And so I felt like I can fix that. And that's kind of where I would say the dream initially started was when I was in elementary school, seeing classmates that didn't have homes. But over time and throughout the years, it only increased. I mean, regardless of opportunities that come my way, my home is residential, building, homes for people, because that's my heart.
Oh, that is your heart. That is fantastic. Now, Nekia, you didn't know that I also want to be an architect. But counter to what you can do, draw, I cannot draw. I can't draw faces. I can't draw buildings. I can't draw streets. I cannot draw. I did not like going to art class. Back in the day, we had to go to art class in elementary, and I did not like it. I cannot draw. I want to be an architect. I said, I can't be an architect because I can't draw. I'm not good in math. So that's another spike to be an architect.
Right, you do need
that dream that I had to be an architect, it went out the window. And so I said, well, maybe I can own a building, maybe become a business owner or something like that. Something that you have done, which is incredible. And so you're turning that dream into where I'm, to housing and residential. That is fantastic, because now that's a big affordable housing is really on the cusp of things these days. I mean, the housing market has gone way up. And so your company, do y'all do big projects or small projects or individual houses for people? Or
so we can do a pretty, a mix of, of anything. By us doing design, build, and project management, we're able to kind of come in on the project, as needed, or we're able to manage the entire project end to end. Because I really, although I did study architecture, I studied GIS, building systems and things, so that I could actually know, myself, how to design, how to build. I always want to make sure that I'm able to work closely with architects and engineers. So that's kind of why we incorporated the design build part. So like someone can come to us and say, hey, I want to build a neighborhood of 5 houses, or they could say, hey, I want to build a school. And we can actually, put that entire project together, manage the project, and complete the project. And then on the other side, we have the project management piece. So I can, somebody can reach out to our company, say, hey, we're building some houses over here, or building one house, and we just need somebody to kind of run the project. We're able to do that as well. So I didn't really want to restrict us as far as what we could do. So I just made sure that I had a team, that could encompass all of that. So we kind of can float to single family homes, townhomes, apartments, to, regular commercial buildings.
Man, that is amazing. And that's good how versatile you are. And you said that you got a certification. And one thing I try to preach here at the Career Education Learning Center is for young people, as well as people who want to change careers, to get certifications, to get licenses. Yeah. And what did you get a certification in project management?
Yes. Yeah, so before I became an entrepreneur, I kind of was trying to decide between real estate and insurance. Okay. And so I actually ended up going into insurance first. And I chose insurance because I wanted to learn about money. And how to make money work for, myself and for people. And so a lot of times people think insurance is just, life insurance or sales and things like that. I got a license, and I operated with that license for about 9 years to really understand money, right? Because I'm like, if I'm going to build this big company, I don't want to always have to depend on an accountant or, somebody to kind of educate me on the finances. I want to have some general knowledge myself. So I got the insurance license first. So that was my first certification. So I was licensed in life, health, long-term care, Medicare. Wow. I was licensed in all of that. And I was terrible in sales. And, but the thing was, I had a moment that changed the trajectory of everything when one of my insurance managers pulled me to the side and he said, "You're terrible in sales." He's like, "You are the worst salesperson on the team." He said, "But you are the best consultant." He said, "And if you strengthen your strength, you will never have to worry about money." Oh. And I said, "Well, how do I do that?" And he said, "If it's not, if you're not strong in that area, don't touch it, outsource it." And I said, "Well, how does that work in insurance?" And he said, "You're a good listener. You like to find solutions for people." He said, "Lead with that." And when I started doing that, I started becoming one of the top producers in the company. Wow. Because I changed from being a salesperson to a consultative person. And then I came out of that. Like I said, I started my company doing strategic planning and consulting for women entrepreneurs. I went to Cornell and obtained a certificate in women's entrepreneurship. I went to NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center and went through their Milestones program. I took leadership courses from Dr. Miles Monroe. I just went all in because I am a student. Like I'm a person, if I'm not learning, I'm not growing. And so I ended up getting my PMP. Well, when I obtained my PMP certification, I had already been in project management for 10 years. Wow. Operating as a, project manager, but this PMP just opened another level of access. That's how I like to put it. And now I'm in process of, we're in process of getting our lead certification and then also our general contractor license.
Man, that is fantastic. And one thing that you were saying that you alluded to, which is certifications and licenses, and really diving into it, going to different areas. How important is that to go even outside your area, to keep learning, to keep going to certifications, keep getting licenses, keep going to see different people, keep going to conferences, to keep learning? How important is that for our young people to know that even when you graduate from college, you still have a learning curve there and you want to continue to learn, even in different areas you're not strong in?
Well, I think it starts, generally with your perception. What exactly do you want to do and to accomplish? For me, I felt the dream I had was massive. And even there was several seasons I would go back and say, "God, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. Like, can we change it up, right? Yes. Can we alternate this and this and this to make it work?" And I wouldn't ever feel released in my spirit to change it. It was like, God was like, let me do what I do. You do what you can do. And so I'm steadfast on education because I do not have a college degree. Oh. I don't have a bachelor's. I don't have a master's. I tell people I went to the College of Life and I graduated with honors, right?
Yes, you did. So yes, you did.
I said life was life and over here, but I still pressed on. And so my reason behind telling people to be a constant learner and, evolve is because not only with technology, but just as a person, right? 20 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to handle this company because my focus would have been different. I didn't really know the depths of business, operations and management like I do now. 5 years ago, I may not have been able to manage the size team that I have now because I was used to doing things on my own. I had to learn how to have a team, and learn how to delegate. But none of that would have been possible if you're not continuously learning and evolving because your way is not always the best way. And you can't grow a company being a team of one. You just can't. But to me, it gives people power. And that's something I always tell students. You have power when you educate yourself.
Yes.
You have, options when you educate yourself, because the libraries are still open. You have YouTube University, right?
Yes,
you have no reason not to know how to do whatever it is that you want to do. When you hire people, those are in addition to what you know. They shouldn't be aware of things about your company or about your dreams that you haven't even tapped into, because now you're not in control. And I think it's important to keep control of your dream so that it stays in front of you, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And you're really showing growth there. And sometimes we pray, we want this and that at that time, but we're not ready for it.
It would have been a hot
mess. We're not
mess.
ready for it. You think you're ready for it. And then as a young entrepreneur myself, I'm thinking I'm ready for it. But then God will put a little bit ahead of me. Like, I said, oh God, okay, you're right. I'm not ready for it. Right? I'm not ready. You got to learn that transition on that. And so it's like a building. You're building your resume. You're building your whole style that you're going to need in order to accomplish the dream you want. You're not there yet. Right. And so a lot of times we want to put the cart before the horse. You know what I'm saying? And we want to ride the horse. Carry the horse when it's too much of load for us to carry. Not knowing that we need to learn how to delegate, as you did. Yep. And when you said that, it made me remember the time when I first became management. I was also in retail management, Nekia. Mm-hmm. And so the thing that I was in, I started training in a big store to where I could delegate things. But then when I got my own store, it was a small store. I didn't have that many employees. So I had to do everything on my own. So when they moved me to a bigger store, I was still trying to do everything on my own. And the first thing my district manager said, well, Mitchell, you need to learn how to delegate. Yeah. And so finally, I learned how to delegate and to get things done in a more efficient way. You can't do everything, and you shouldn't do everything. Nope. Because if you're the owner or you're the manager, you have to see the long-term value, right? You have to see the long-term, and you can't do that by doing hands-on operation day to day, right? You can't do both, and you're trying to do both, and you can't do both because you're going to short-side one of them, and you cannot short-side the strategic plan that's coming ahead, because when things change, and they do change, especially in your industry, they do change, then you want to be aware of that change ahead of time, because you're leading, right? You're leading the path. You can't do that on day-to-day operations. So I'm glad you brought out delegation. I'm glad you brought out growing and going into your dream, because you can't get your dream all ahead of time and say, oh, I'm here, I'll arrive, and that's it. And continue to learn, continue to go and be members of an organization. And speaking of that, I joined a National Association of Self-Employed people, and it was just great. And I'm learning a lot from that. You're also a member of a particular business group. Is that correct?
Yes. So I am a member. I'm a national member of the National Association of Black Women in Construction. I am also a member of Queen City Women in Business, and I'm a member of the National Association of Women in Construction.
Oh, man, that is fantastic. And so how much does that membership help you as far as networking, as far as learning different things about women and businesses and how you can communicate with them with your experience, and they give you what their experience is, for that way you can grow as a person and maybe even do partnerships?
So for me, I think the memberships to these organizations were more so opportunities for me to stretch as a person. And what I mean by that is, being in business since 2012, I always say I had my share of going to networking events that didn't, a waste of time, waste of energy, just I had my share of all of that. Right. And so I really wanted to take a season to really do some research on, organizations and what they're really putting forth and what they're really, getting out before I attach myself to them. So with these, like the Associations of Women in Construction, the National Association of Black Women in Construction, of course, was founded by a Black woman, Miss Ann McNeil, who was the first licensed general contractor, Black woman general contractor in the state of Florida. And she created this organization for women like me that had a hard time getting in the door. They had a hard, coming with the qualifications, coming with the experience, but you're still approaching me or treating me as inferior. Right. So, joining memberships like that for me was integral to see other women in construction, other minority women in construction, not competing, but collaborating, right? We're taking classes together. We're learning. We're showing up to events together. We're having calls every single week. Where are you? What do you need? What can I do? Why is this not done? Holding each other accountable.
Yes.
And it really gives you a sense of Black girl power.
Yeah.
That's all I say. Because that's all my kids say. Because growing up, my grandfather was a member of the Elks, which Mitchell, because that's that.
Yes, you know what? My parents are member of the Elks too.
Right. And so my grandfather had, when I tell you that network and that support system, I mean, people show up. And I was like, I desire that, but I desire it with, with people who are going to support me being in construction and development, not constantly trying to redirect me to something that's more comfortable. And so I found that with the National Association of Black Women in Construction and Queen City in Business, let me tell you, that's a whole nother level of support, especially on the procurement side, educating us on those contracts and, actually doing those warm introductions, connecting us to decision makers. That organization, you can't come in with the speed of a turtle.
Okay.
And you got to come in ready, to go, because when I tell you Dawn Nicole and her team get behind you, get ready, stay ready.
Yes.
Don't try to get ready, right?
Yes, you got to be ready. They're bringing it. And you got to bring it too, right?
Yeah.
And you got to bring it too. So that's what we're trying to get across to people who changing careers, people who are coming out of college, whether it's graduate school, undergraduate school, or people who don't go to college, and get training and go to these certifications and licenses. There's an array of occupations out there which you don't need a college degree and do very, very well.
Yeah.
And so you just another one of those people that I found on LinkedIn that just doing incredible things. And I'm just so proud that you came on our show today. You made me proud being from Statesville and knowing that we got to do what we need to do as a person.
So don't be trying to make
people up with us. Yes, and bring people up there with us and to make sure that we doing right, that we helping each other out. It's about helping each other out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all can win. And we just support each other. We don't have to put one person down and put another person up. We all can win, and we all need that support. And being an entrepreneur, you really need support, especially in the beginning stages. I'm learning that now. And so that support which you can give a person was really critical and key to them being successful, right? Especially the first couple of years. It's very key because your confidence can be knocked down, your enthusiasm, everything just take the wind out of yourself, and then you give up and quit. Because you didn't have that support system, whether it's family support or support from a business community to make it. And so that's why I'm so proud that you came on our show today, Nekia, to express what you're doing. I'm so proud of you and your company. And we continue to do, and that you are a trailblazer for not only women, but for African-American young women who may want to go into construction, maybe do something different that's not the norm, right?
Right.
And so that is fantastic. Do you have any parting words before we leave our episode today for our young people?
One thing I would say is one thing that you, I want to allude to that you said was having that support system. And I am the first to say I did not have that support system. I had a dream. I had a desire, and that dream and desire had to be my fuel because people were not, all hands on deck, helping me get to where I needed to be, right? It was me putting in a lot of time and effort and self-development and attending classes and courses to really find those meaningful connections. And so I always encourage people to be your biggest supporter.
Right.
And in all transparency, you're going to have days and you're going to have seasons, no matter if you've been in business for 1 year or 10 years, where you get discouraged, where you feel like, why am I doing this? Or should I continue? And my advice is to hold on to that vision, because I've held on to my vision. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It has become much easier since meeting my husband, several years ago, because now I have somebody that's wholeheartedly with me. Like, what we got to do? Let's get it done, right? And so I don't have those moments where I slow down and I'm looking like, am I supposed to be doing this? Because I have someone that's behind me that's like, no, I got you. You just make sure that you stay focused. And so that support system may be yourself. That support system may be total strangers. That support system may look like audio podcast or YouTube or whatever, but hold on to the dream. Be clear in what you want to do. Consistently touch it, because those two things, clarity and consistency, build your confidence. And just know that you deserve to be in those spaces. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I don't get intimidated and I don't have competition. I am in competition with no one. I am striving to be the best version of myself, for my child, for my family. I'm not, in competition with anyone else. So I don't get distracted with things like that, because those are irrelevant, emotions.
Right. Uh-huh.
Like I am focused on being the best solution for, housing and for development and for project management, so that I can help other people, period.
Well, I tell you what, that is, hey, I wish you would. Well, I'm older than you, but where you should have been older than me. Well, you can teach me all these values, girl. Where were you? Oh, you weren't born.
It's a learned value. It's learned, but we can do it. And I just want people to understand they can do it. You don't have to have the accolades. Just because you went to college doesn't make you smart.
True.
And it doesn't make you knowledgeable. And just because you didn't go to college doesn't make you, dumb or inadequate. Like it's literally what you put into yourself. And that's something we teach at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. I'm a mentor and a program facilitator for that program. And that's something that we really teach those women entrepreneurs. Like wherever you are is enough. Like it's enough. And so for the students, wherever you are, whatever you desire to do, you can absolutely do it. But you need to create a solid plan and stick to the plan.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to take those nuggets, those resources, your just knowledge that you have shared with us today, and just run with it and grow ourselves. Thank you so much, Nekia, for coming on our show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And I'd like to thank also, this month we had our Capital Fund campaign, and we have 3 new superstar patrons. They are Gilbert Rivers, Tira Powell, and Shanita Horton. Thank you so much for your financial support. And I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for joining me on another episode of the Career Education Learning Center podcast, where we make your career dreams a reality. God bless.